People are very influenced by somebody of prestige or popularity. Today's list takes us through the top 10 bizarre things people used to believe. Kind of makes you wonder what we believe today that will later be proven ludicrous. Oh, welcome to another episode of the Twisted 10.
What is up, guys?
Oh, Adam's got a boner over here a little bit.
We got some cool news tonight. Lots of cool stuff.
Do you need the pink mic to simulate the boner?
I think so. I think I might need the pink mic. So we are literally recording live in studio with a brand new Rodecaster Pro. That is that's like a size of a podcast like ours. That's our wet dream. But before we get into it at all, I want to give some love and some shout outs to one of our listeners that really helped hook us up with this.
Yeah, big love out to Clayton, one of our listeners. I know you're listening. Thanks, dude. He hooked us up. He saved us $220 off this mixer.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, so big thanks to him. It's going to have a big long-term effect on the production quality of our show. And I already felt pretty good about it.
Said big and long together. Clayton, you make us big and long, buddy. Just saying. Well, most of us, but never mind. You know what I mean. Yeah, no, this fucking thing is awesome, dude. We can't appreciate you as much as we should. Didn't come out right, but you know what I meant. Yeah, thank you again for the hookup. We got some pretty cool fucking listeners, man. I'm just saying.
Yeah, definitely.
That's
we may only
awesome.
have 3 of them, but they're passionate.
They are the best.
Yeah. And you can find him in Discord. He is in there. If he wants to announce who he is inside our Discord, that's cool. But he is in there. So speaking of Discord, Josh, how do our listeners help contribute like Clayton did here for hooking us up with a good deal on some studio equipment?
Nice. Well, I'll give you my address, and you just forward us cash. That's the best. Okay.
Or send Josh dick pics.
No,
all
so
checks payable to Josh Wilson.
No, so what Adam was kind of alluding there to, tossing me that beach ball, was so Clayton's a member of our Twisted Council. He participates in the show a little bit more. We've got like a separate community for our council members and stuff. They've got their own show that they get. It's called The After Show. You'll hear us talk about it, at least mention it a little bit. But yeah, he's a member of our council. So if you want any information on that, you can just go to twisted10.com. So we also have a Discord server. We're kind of on rebellion against Facebook and traditional social media. So that's where we hang out. So that's where you can find us. But again, it's linked right off twisted10.com. It's right in the center of the page. So you can just come sign up. It's free. You don't have to install anything. Just come hang out. Come say hey.
And you can be anonymous. You don't have to come in. Like Dr. 36. Doc 36. We don't know who that is. I have some theories on who it is, but we don't know exactly who that is.
That's totally his name. His first name is Doc. His last name is 36.
A cool last name, though.
I hope it's not because he docked with 36 dudes, but I'm not going to judge.
And maybe it's a she.
Oh, well then that's hot.
In one sitting.
Yes. Doctress 36.
Yeah, so come join us in Discord. You don't have to pay anything to be a Discord member, like Josh was saying. So come hang out with us. We often toss around some ideas of future lists, and this list tonight, by the way, I'm your host, was partially inspired by some conversation that we had with some of our council members in Discord. Let me hide the title. I don't want you guys to see the title yet. Our listeners of the show, maybe not our Discord listeners, but the listeners know what the show is about because they see the title. But Ron and Josh here in studio have no clue what's going on.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I also had one more exciting announcement for the show, too.
Pregnant?
No. God, no. No more. Two's enough. Since we recorded last, we have officially stood up a merchandise store. We've got a shop front on the website, so it's also on twisted10.com. But we've got hats and a bag and a coffee mug and whatever. The print shop that we're using has like a fucking billion things. So if there's something cool with Twisted 10 on it that you would like, just message us and I will get it to you at cost.
Big giant dildo.
Okay.
for the
I'll
studio.
find
They have that for
I'll
the
find,
studio.
I'll find
like
it.
like
at
a big
cost.
centerpiece.
I'll tell you exactly. The Great American Challenge, Twisted 10 edition.
During the Great American Challenge, I remember that from an old show.
What is that? Okay.
The Great American Challenge. This might have been before Ron was part of the Twisted 10. It is I think it was one of Tack's old lists. It might have been yours. I don't remember.
Maybe.
I didn't know what the Great American Challenge was before either until that show. And it is a dildo that's like 2.5 feet tall and as big around as like a watermelon. It is a massive, or what you call Tuesday nights. It is a massive device.
It's like a strong dude's forearm and fist.
Okay.
It's big.
It's wild.
It's big.
Yeah,
That's hot.
I forgot
what
where I was going
happened?
with that.
Did you lose your train of thought thinking about giant dildos?
I felt, yeah, you know what? They did kind of steal
Did giant dildos distract you, Adam?
Yes, they do often. I mean, mostly it's out of jealousy, but for the most part, yeah, they distract me. Yeah, I don't remember what I was going to say. Did we give any plugs to? So we just said Patreon and our Discord and merch. That's what I was going to say. God damn. During the break, do they have duffel bags and stuff? You said they have some bags on our merch site.
Yeah, it's actually a backpack right now, but
Backpack. All right.
there are duffel bags.
I want to go order something from our merch site
It's
at
one of
normal
those
cost,
little
like not our cost,
stylish-
but at the retail price, and just see how the transaction works. I'll report back after the break. Remind me if you don't mind.
I'll absolutely remind you to spend money on the show.
All
Do
right,
it.
cool. All right, so let's get into anything else we want to cover before the actual show itself.
Man, the kitchen renovation is like
Yeah, I guess that would be
one
important.
ass hair away from being done.
Yeah, so
And
listeners, Ron and Josh and I do our very best to try to bring shows every week, and because that's pretty important in podcasting world, is to have a repetitive process that you can count on to come back to. But where we record is my studio, my basement, which we're converting into a full-blown studio, and it is literally underneath my kitchen. And one of the things that Andrea made me promise, it's my wife, when we bought this house. It's a big, beautiful house, but it's old. 1983 is the construction, and it had a kitchen from 1983. So she said, if you want to buy this house, you have to promise me that we're going to renovate the kitchen. So we're almost done. Cabinets are in. Countertops were measured today. All the electrical and plumbing stuff where we would need to access this subfloor above our heads right now, that's all done. So at this stage, we could technically start working on our studio renovation and get our shit together in here. But yeah, I have been busting my ass over the last 2 weeks to try to get this kitchen in working shape for Easter, because we had a big family gathering over here for Easter this past weekend. So we got it. We did it. We got it band-aided enough. I did all the plumbing myself because goddamn fuck plumbing prices. But we got it all done.
You did more than just the plumbing yourself. You also did you did all the demo.
All the demo.
That's
My
work.
son
It's
and I
fun,
did,
but that's work.
My son and I did all the demo. That flooring was a bitch, by the way. Ripping up bamboo floor that was glued on top of a secondary subfloor that was sitting on top of a first original flooring, which was laminate from God only knows when, which was also sitting on a subfloor. There was 4 layers of floor we had to tear out of the kitchen to get it to where I can refloor the kitchen. So yeah, it's a pain in the ass.
legitimately nearly like an inch of flooring.
Sweet.
Yeah, that's
crazy.
not an exaggeration. Yeah. That's pretty spot on. And then we had to go, and a bunch of this wood was rotten, so I had to go and replace a bunch of planks, and it's a long story. Anybody who does reno work, I fucking feel you. You are my hero. That is some hard fucking work. My back and knees are just blown, so hey, good on you for your skill, your trade skill, because it's impressive. I now know why those people get paid so much money to do what they do. I could imagine it before. Now I've lived it. Fuck those guys. That's guys and girls. That is impressive work. But all right, so we're going to be back to the recording normal weeks. I think that was the point of Josh's original bringing. I kind of completely stole your kitchen thunder.
No,
there.
not at all. I was going to say that
Was
as
that
soon
my
as the
beach
kitchen's
ball?
done, the renovations in here are going to start, and
Yeah,
which
we're-
means Twitch is coming soon. That was all I
Yes.
wanted to throw out there.
Oh,
That
yeah,
was-
good
that was the
call.
thing
I'd like
about
to
it.
just accomplish Twitch in 2021. I'd be down for that.
we'll be there.
We already have all the equipment.
Do we?
Yeah,
Well, yeah, but it's still a lot of work to build it out in here.
I mean, yeah, certainly. But I'm just saying, like, once that part's done, like, we have the kit.
We'll be ready. All right, you boys ready?
Yeah, what do you got?
I'm ready.
All right. So often I like to do some little fun thing in the show to try to get you guys in the mood for the list that's forthcoming, but I don't really have that for tonight's topic. maybe, all right, I'll make one up on the spot. So Josh, we are using this new mixer. Thanks, Clayton. We hope that tonight's recording goes well and it works out well, but you can never be too careful. Often when you're doing something that you hope works out for the best, it's often said to do what?
Take a backup?
No,
knock on wood.
Knock on wood.
Oh,
all right. So that's like something that people like kind of believe in, and a little bit of a superstition to hope for good luck. It does nothing physiologically does nothing.
Speak for yourself, Adam.
hey, I just want to say though that like if you think something's going to go wrong, you should take backups. Like that's
granted.
Still sound advice.
Our only backup is the additional recorder that we sent home with you last night. So
that's true.
Yeah.
Maybe this will be the second last episode.
So maybe the only person that's going to hear this particular recording is the one guy in Doc 36 sitting in, or girl sitting in Discord, who's still there.
Yeah,
still there. Got him. All right. So tonight's top 10 list is top 10 bizarre things people used to believe.
Cool.
So knocking on wood is kind of an example of that. Not really, but kind of.
Used to believe. Like, come on, dude. Tons of people still are going to believe all the shit you're about to say. Whatever it is.
Flat Earth is a great example. It is not in this list, but Flat Earth has come back around to being something that somebody... I see what you did there.
Good one.
But yeah, so Flat Earth is a good example as an intro to that. We had our Flat Earth episode a long time ago with the goofballs that are defending that the Earth is flat, and of course science has proven that time and time over that it is not. It is a sphere.
Have they really?
Still our number 2 episode of all time.
It is. It's a pretty big episode. Behind the one that sat there for 2 years and just raked up downloads.
Behind mine, just saying. By a cool several thousand.
But not only was that, I mean, that was a really good show. Beyond the fact it sat there for a year and a half as the last show, the disappearing civilizations, which couldn't have been.
Yeah, that's true.
Couldn't have been a better plan if you'd done it on purpose. But
this list, I'm going to tell you, does have a twist, but it's a fun twist. It's not like I made one up.
Cool.
So we'll get to the twist towards the end of the show. This list is from times of BC era up through current day. So the list goes all over the place, but it has to do with masses of people around the world or in regions, because let's face it, you didn't have good communication skills in some parts of the world with other parts of the world several thousand years ago, or hell, even today. But any of these had to have had a supporting group that was large enough to be influenced by the beliefs that are in this list. All right, does that make sense? So the people who came up with these theories or beliefs had to have had a following. It couldn't have been just one dude that said,
just wrote some crazy shit down on a tablet.
Yeah. Well, that, you know what? That's a great point.
10 crazy things.
That's a good point. This is not, I did not touch anything religious, because religion is it's a very distinct line I did not want to cross with this list, because these are things that people used to believe that were true that really aren't anymore because of science, medicine, things like that. But I did not touch religion just because it's faith-based, and I didn't really do that.
You know what the worst part about that was? Is I literally meant because dudes just wrote on tablets thousands of years ago.
I thought you were straight up going with Noah.
No, yeah. But that's a valid point.
Noah, forget it. I'm just going to let you roll with Noah. Go ahead. I don't want to cut into your time, Adam.
You see what I did.
Yeah, I see what you did there.
I said Noah and gave Ron the dad eyes. All right.
But why did you look at me like I'm the religious expert in the room or something?
Because I figured you would get the joke quicker, and I was conversating with Josh. So throwing it to you is inclusive. I'm trying to include you.
And I'm kind of dense.
No, that is definitely not true.
Number 10. So number 10, we're starting off with a pretty big one. The sun is cold. That's the belief.
Okay.
Where there are still mysteries about the cosmos that only time and advancements in technology will unlock, some of the older beliefs that humanity supported are a bit bizarre. This is certainly one of them. William Herschel introduced a theory about the sun that was unsupported by any kind of evidence based on findings, and it was purely speculative. Just to give this guy a little bit of credit, William Herschel, and this is around 1795, William Herschel was the guy who discovered Uranus. Come on, Get it? Wait.
Yeah, hit the button.
He's got some fancy buttons over here. All right. No, but he legitimately was.
God,
he discovered
that's going to get old after an episode and a half.
he discovered. So he's got some notoriety, and the reason I bring that up is because he had a basis of work that was good. I mean, it was legitimate work. It wasn't just some goofball scientist with a degree that was claiming some shit. So he had shit, Uranus. See what it did?
Clearly, he was a proctologist.
All right. So in 1795, he claimed that the sun was in fact just a large planet with an extraordinarily reflective and luminous surface. He argued since the rest of the solar system was teeming with life, which was also kind of a little bonus in this one, that was a heavy belief at the time, is that the rest of the solar system of planets had life, like human beings living on all these other locations.
I mean, it kind of makes sense since they didn't really know what the makeup of chemically of these planets were. Hey, this one does. Why don't the others?
They just found them.
Yeah, they were just discovering them.
Yeah, hey, look at that. I think that's a planet. It probably has people on it.
But it was a pretty wide belief that organisms, animals, humans, or aliens lived on these other planets as well. So this guy claimed that the sun was actually a planet, not a ball of gas. He argued that since the rest of the solar, I already read that part, since the rest of the solar system had life, that did too, that it must have been true that the sun was also home to organisms and people who were adopted to the especially bright conditions of the planet. He proposed that the sun was not hot. Rather, it was extremely cold, but its outer layers were a vast ocean. And here's the one challenge that they threw to him at the time, is that the sun has sunspots, and they vary in locations, which are dark spots where there's less activity at the surface that we see of the light that's coming out of the sun, or the gases that are exploding in the sun.
The gases that are exploding from Uranus.
He dismissed that they're not as prominent.
Oh God.
He dismissed that as, since the sun's surface was mostly a very reflective liquid, or a luminous liquid, that the dark spots were either mountains that were protruding up through tidal alterations in the liquid that was on there, or that it was just a transparent spot in the liquid that we could see down through that ocean, that vast ocean that was on the sun, and see the subsurface of the sun if we had a good enough piece of equipment to see in there. And that theory was adopted and was run with for decades. People believed that the sun was just another planet. And not to mention, I don't reference this at another point, but also the whole astrology piece about how everything revolved around Earth, that everything was, the Earth was the center of the universe.
The
all that kind of ties in.
geocentric theory.
Yes, correct. Not the heterocentric. No,
the heliocentric.
Hetero.
Which means the sun is the center of the universe.
That was close.
Which was closer than the geocentric theory, but
right, we were closer. But because it kind of all clumps together is just the general astrophysics understanding of the everything up to like the late 18th century.
And what year was this?
1795. So the end of the 18th century is when this guy made this proposition that the sun was cold, and it was actually a giant ball of liquid, or liquids on the exterior surface and harder rock on the subsurface.
We had pretty good telescopes around 1800.
Yeah, he was the one who discovered Uranus. So yeah, he could see him.
Which means this motherfucker stared at the sun long enough to have a theory.
Yeah.
And didn't go blind. He stared at the sun.
No wonder it was such a bad theory.
But the thing is, this is kind of setting a tone for the rest of this list. Most of what you're going to hear in this is not backed by real evidence as you and I know it. It is somebody who's popular at the time that is making some outrageous claim and has a following because that claim is so outrageous.
But would an outrageous claim always end up being wrong? Perhaps your list, it is always wrong. But if you think about, and I know we've referenced this a bunch of times, in 1959 when Charles Darwin wrote, his book about evolution, he had really nothing to back it up. It was just a theory that he believed based on his
1959.
18. Did I say 19?
Yes,
Sorry,
you did. But
1859.
Fucking old dude.
100. Yeah, I'm bringing him into the next podcast. He's old, didn't know what a podcast was, but said he'd do it. No, in 1859 when he wrote, his book on evolution, it was like a theory that like this. It was just something he thought that he believed based on his.
I love that you brought him
observations.
While I don't have Darwin in this list, I do have another person cited throughout history that until I really did this research, I didn't know much about this guy and how wrong he has been. And if
Nostradamus?
No, Nostradamus
That's where I went to.
Nostradamus at least claimed that his prophecies were just out of his mind. He's just made them up as, as he saw them in his head. That isn't like proposed to or supposedly backed by science at the time. He's just a soothsayer and a future teller. I mean, that's what he did. No, there's another man, similar era, kind of, as Nostradamus. I don't remember when Nostradamus, 600, 650, when was, whatever, it doesn't matter.
No idea.
Aristotle. That's who we're going to reference a couple points in this story is Aristotle.
One more real quick, and then I'll let you move on.
Yeah.
Higgs, like the Higgs
boson.
Yeah, exactly. How long did he theorized this particle that, like, you'll never prove it, whatever, and then sure as shit, they proved it with the particle accelerator.
But I mean,
That's true.
didn't Higgs, wasn't that mathematically proven? It wasn't observed. Was that the deal on it? Aside from your point, I'm sorry, Rob.
Assuming that Einstein's, what's his model?
Relativity?
No. There's another term for what Einstein. It has to do with quantum physics. I'll remember it. Assuming that model that explains how quantum physics works, the standard model, I think, then yes, it was proven scientifically and has not been proven wrong yet. In fact, the LIGO Observatory we talked about, I think 2 podcasts ago, helped to also confirm that standard model of the universe based on quantum physics. So it's pretty interesting. We haven't proven it yet.
Anyway, I didn't mean to go off into a...
Giant dildos, the standard model of quantum theory.
That's right. We talk about it all.
10 minutes
I
apart.
thought Ron and I were the giant dildos. All right.
Giant dildos talking about science.
Number 9.
Number 9.
This one you guys have heard before, and we've, I think, even made jokes about this in the past. Cigarettes were healthy.
They're not?
Only the left-handed cigarettes, if you know what I mean.
No, I actually don't. What do you mean by left-handed?
That's a term for something that we're not allowed to do legally. Left-handed cigarettes is a term for marijuana. Mary Jane.
Okay, marijuana. No, you're gonna cut off of that button already.
See how? No, never mind. All
yes,
right.
I do.
All right, if this list is going to teach
me.
you, if this list is going to teach you anything, it's that the masses of people will believe anything a doctor or a scientist with some level of community acceptance tells us. When health concerns about cigarettes
or a president, sorry, you did it. No, Ron, bad. Okay,
bad Ron.
Sorry.
When health concerns about cigarettes began to receive public attention in the 1930s, tobacco companies took action. They hired troves of actors to portray doctors and physicians to quell concerns about the dangers of smoking. So this is very early 1930s propaganda. It's what this 100% propaganda. There used to be marketing materials. There used to be marketing materials where advertisements of cigarettes had actors portraying doctors and physicians right in the ads and all the advertisements. They claim that prescribing Philip Morris brand cigarettes to patients with irritated throats, they quoted every case of irritation cleared completely or definitely improved. The series of advertisements, along with other referring to, quote, proof, unquote, of superiority, made Philip Morris a major cigarette brand for the first time in its history. So Philip Morris is a good example of one of the first propaganda-driven complete lies about its product that later obviously turned out to be very dangerous and very harmful for humans, to use that propaganda and their name and their reputation to really push their agenda. And it worked. I mean, cigarettes became a big thing.
The Marlboro Man.
Well, the Marlboro Man was a marketing camel.
That's an example.
Joe Camel. I had a Joe Camel when I was a kid because it was cool. It was a toy.
And that's when people at that time knew that cigarettes were bad for you, and they were still branding it as something cool.
But it's only a matter of time until science caught up to the advertising. By the mid-1950s, more research was being published that confirmed the link between tobacco products and lung cancer. Growing concerns among the public, about the dangers of smoking cigarettes meant the slow disappearance of the, quote, physician or doctors from cigarette ads. Those companies finally realized, oh, shit, maybe we shouldn't straightforward lie about the health.
This is why they lost a multi-billion-dollar lawsuit. Part of
right.
Didn't they make a movie? I'm sorry.
Several, I'm
There's
sure.
a movie about that.
After a couple hundred years of tobacco use, literally a couple hundred years of tobacco use. The marketing didn't really kick in until 100 years ago. But after a couple hundred years of tobacco use, tobacco companies would lose several major battles throughout the next few decades, including the ban on television ads in 1970 when Richard Nixon signed the Public Health Cigarette Smoking Act. In 2005, tobacco companies made a settlement with the National Association of Attorneys General that included the agreement to remove tobacco ads from the school libraries, from Time Magazine, People, Sports Illustrated, Newsweek, and several other styles of publications. They just stopped their advertisements that could include minors who were obviously influenceable. But yeah, smoking used to be considered healthy. Now there's each one of these, just like we say in some of our other Twisted Tens, each one of these could have a top 10 list just built about it. Tobacco and how tobacco was marketed to people from the 20s and 30s and up, it's just ridiculous. You can get down a deep rabbit hole of watching some of that propaganda that was pushed to the American public.
Remember when you could just go, Josh, you probably still remember this, me and Adam for sure. You would just randomly, like at a bar, sometimes a restaurant, they would have the cigarette vending machines.
I still see those every once in a
really?
while. Yeah.
Do you? Okay, interesting. I haven't seen one for so long.
But it's usually in like a gas station that is run down like an old gas station. It's not like a branded like 7-Eleven or something.
Yeah, and I understand privately owned.
Yeah, I remember seeing them. I don't remember the last. Maybe it's Merritt Island.
Josh, have you ever seen one?
I have seen them. I'm trying to remember when the last time was that I saw them in the States. So that's my interesting anecdote. So I remember seeing them in Europe. I remember Margaret and I saw them while we were out on our honeymoon.
Two things I haven't seen in a long time: a cigarette vending machine, and in a men's bathroom, or a condom vending machine. Yeah, I haven't seen either. Could you imagine feeling like, oh shit, gonna have sex tonight? Let me put a quarter in and get a condom. That's so
gross.
That is weird. I don't know.
You know what? I'm gonna take that back. Good on that person.
Making the right decision.
Yeah, I get it. It was the purpose of was trying to.
Yeah, I'm just, don't fuck in the bathroom. Just
yeah, but was it for the purpose of fucking in the bathroom? I thought it was for the purpose of, holy shit, I met this chick at the bar. I might get lucky.
The irony.
Grab this condom.
The irony, you're putting a quarter in one of those condom machines in a bathroom to protect yourself from sexually transmitted diseases or pregnancy. And the irony is that the last person that just touched it was a meth head, and you just caught some sort of fucking disease of that.
I thought maybe it was more about showing off to the people in there, looking around. That's right, boys. I'm putting a quarter in the condom machine. What do y'all got?
That's when you go up. When I was 16 years old, I started buying condoms at the gas station, and a lot of my friends were fearful, embarrassed, I guess, of going to do that. I didn't get that feeling. I went and I bought, and I didn't buy the Magnums condoms.
Yes, you did, boy.
No, I bought the regular Trojans.
Extra large.
And I set them up on the counter with pride. And the guy behind the counter I could have handed him a pack of. He didn't give a fuck what I was putting on there.
Yeah.
But he's like, okay, $6 or whatever the hell it was. And I walked out of there with my condoms. Like, you see what I got here? Yeah. You see? Hey, how you doing? Yeah, nice to see you. Big gulps, huh?
Nice. I totally got off track there. Sorry, my bad.
Number 8. Okay.
Number 8.
This is going to sound a bit like Adam picked this one because of some sort of chauvinist or demonstratively what's the term when you think women have a certain role in society?
Chauvinistic?
That's what I said. Chauvinist is what I said, but I thought it was another
misogynistic.
This is going to sound like it's misogynist, Adam speaking. I promise you that it's not, because this was a big deal for a long time. Female hysteria. I know you kind of look weird at that first.
Yeah, I've never heard of this.
We'll get into this a little bit. This is a very interesting. And again, none of these are made up by Adam tonight. So the twist has nothing to do with made up topic. There is a cool twist. I think you guys like it. Female hysteria was once a common medical diagnosis for women, which was described as exhibiting a wide array of symptoms, including anxiety, shortness of breath, fainting, nervousness, sexual desire, insomnia, fluid retention, heaviness in the abdomen, irritability, loss of appetite for food or sex, paradoxically, sexually forward behavior, and tendency to cause trouble for others. All right, so you got to understand where this comes from. Our society, and not just American society, but worldwide society, has always been very driven by male-dominated environments, male-dominated science, male-dominated math. Everything is just very male-dominated, and for hundreds of thousands of years. That's no different up through even some of the recent times. Female hysteria was literally a diagnosable mental condition that a husband could have his wife committed for her talking back, or for just any number of reasons, like some of the ones I just listed. It's literally crazy. The history of this hysteria can be traced to ancient times, dating back to 1900 BC in ancient Egypt. The first description of hysteria within the female body were found recorded in the Quran Papyri. I'm sure I pronounced that wrong.
The Koran?
It's not the Quran, as you pronounce Koran.
Koran?
No, this is the Kahun, Kahun, maybe Kahun Papyri, Papyri, whatever. In ancient Greece, wandering womb, this is fucking fascinating. Wandering womb was described.
I wandered into the wrong womb.
You did it.
Sorry.
Rascally wabbit. The wandering womb was described in the gynecological treatise of the Hippocratic corpus.
Really,
God,
all that in treaties tripped you up?
That was on one of Ron's list. That particular word was. We talked about it.
That's quote.
Yeah,
diseases,
treatise.
Treatise?
Treatise better. Okay, go ahead.
Diseases of women, unquote, which dates back to the 5th and 4th centuries BC. Plato's dialogue Timaeus compares a woman's uterus to a living creature that wandered throughout a woman's body, blocking passages, obstructing breathing, and causing disease. So the theory on the wandering womb is that a woman's womb was a creature of its own and would fuck shit up inside her body, and that was a diagnosable problem that you could have her, taken care of. You have to have doctors take care of her or put her in a mental institution. Through the Middle Ages, another cause of the dramatic symptoms could be found under demonic possession. So your woman's being a little irritable, it's a daemon. It was thought that demonical forces were attracted to those who were prone to melancholy, particularly to single women and the elderly. When a patient could not be diagnosed or cured of a disease, it was thought that the symptoms of what would now be diagnosed as a mental illness were actually those of someone possessed by the devil.
Now we just call it resting bitch face and move on.
You did it, Ron.
Oh, man. Can you imagine... It's like, it's awful, right? The necessary disclaimer, it's an awful thing. But could you imagine living in a world? Just like, well, she didn't want to go home with me, officer. I think she's crazy.
Female
officer.
Hysteria. Lock her ass up.
Oh, yeah. Another thing we just say for that now is lesbians. When they don't want to go home with you.
What's happening, Ron?
What do you mean? I'm just telling you what people say, not me.
So
you guys.
Tonight's one of the first nights in a while that we haven't drank.
Maybe I should be drinking.
Well, there's one of two things. Either you should be drinking, or your body thinks you're supposed to be drinking and put you in the mental state
so
right away.
I'm telling drunk jokes without the alcohol.
Sounds like a cheap
That's
date.
much better for my liver. And driving home on time.
And your wandering womb.
And my wandering womb.
In the 18th century, hysteria slowly became associated with the mechanisms in the brain rather than the uterus. Thank goodness. This is also when it was noted both men and women could contract hysteria. So finally we're starting to make the transition of, this ain't
Do
just
I get wandering penis?
That was your 20s.
That's called being promiscuous.
Jean-Martin Charcot argued that hysteria derived from a neurological disorder and showed that it was more common in men than in women. Charcot's theories of hysteria being a physical affliction of the mind and not of the body led to more scientific and analytical approach to the hysteria in the 19th century. He dispelled the beliefs that hysteria had anything to do with the supernatural and attempted to define it medically. So as you can see, as we're moving through time, as advancements in medicine and science are made, we're starting to really get better focused on what's causing some of these problems. Oh, and then it has nothing to do with a woman. That's the other part about this. The American Psychiatric Association did not drop the term hysteria until the 1950s, so this is still pretty fucking recent. By the 1980s, feminists began to reclaim the hysteria term, using it as a symbol of the systematic oppression of women, and reclaim the term for themselves, especially among sex-positive feminists who believe sexual repression and having it called hysteria is a form of oppression. I forgot to add this one in. The female orgasm was a sign of insanity. I kind of believe that one, though, right? Because female orgasms are not real. You got to be crazy for that to happen, right?
Fake news.
A little jokey joke there at the end.
Oh, my wife has been faking it.
She's insane. That's what that means.
Yeah, totally.
See, that's a compliment to yourself, Josh. By claiming that if she has orgasm, it's a sign of insanity, then your wife's fucking bonkers. That means you're doing it right, buddy. See
fucking bonkers.
Fucking bonkers.
Fucking bonkers.
I like that. Think about that.
Yeah.
If you were doing a chick named Bonkers, it would fun to say fucking bonkers. Oh, God, that was a bad
I just
joke.
want to meet a girl named Bonkers.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's where I was going with that.
Have you checked Ludo's Cheaters lately?
Next on stage is Bonkers.
Next on stage is Bonkers.
Dollars on the floor and fives in the thighs, guys.
That's awesome.
Number seven. And again, these are things this is the top 10 bizarre things people used to believe. So they had some sort of basis to support some of these theories. Number 7 takes us to the early 1800s. The human body could not handle high-speed travel. With human technological evolution and advancement came the ability to travel faster than on the backs of horses or other animals. As trains started emerging in the 1800s, there were rampant reports of human bodies' inability to travel at speeds faster than 30 miles per hour. Some of the common claims: a human would not be able to breathe the air that was rushing by the vehicle and would suffocate. Another one is that motion at high speeds could cause insanity, and the human brain could not handle the motion.
And then hitting 88 miles per hour was where time travel happened.
Back in time.
And just think, less than 15. You said this was 1930, or in the 30s?
No, this is the 1800s.
Early 1800s.
Yeah, early 1800s. Yeah, you're going back. The 1950s was when hysteria was taken out of.
Okay, I got my dates
context.
mixed up. Sorry.
Yeah, you're good. Fearful Victorians of the mid-1800s wrote the quote, "The rise of mental illness from 1750 to the present," unquote, and cited the increase in high-speed travel, specifically from trains, to be a leading culprit. So basically, they wrote a book saying, we've got all these new cases of people going crazy.
I'm telling you right now, this fucking fast forward to right now, these are the same motherfuckers that think 5G is the end of the world. It's the same fucking mindset.
It would
Unbelievable.
It would be the same if it was like, who's a very famous doctor or scientist? If Neil deGrasse Tyson was saying 5G is going to rot our brains, if he was saying it because he's got a following, then that would be what these are like the leading scientists and physicians and doctors of these eras that are citing these things, making people say, "Oh, well, they're pretty prestigious. I'm going to support this too."
With no proof. That's what's crazy.
So what you're going to learn
because the difference now is it's easier to prove things, so people aren't as mainstream doing it. But
we have something that I say invented. I don't think that the invention of this process is an invention. I think it was a realization for quality control, the scientific method. So the scientific method now you have to have certain elements for making something a claim or a proof, and then it has to be tested. It has to be run through a peer review process. It has to be counter-tested by your opposition or by non-objective or objective people to be able to make their own calls to see if your claims are, legitimate. Before anything can go from theory to, proof or fact, it has to go through this rigorous process. That wasn't around. You could have just fucking made any claim you wanted back in the 1800s or before, and guess what? If you're a popular enough guy, or, well, I guess not girl, because, women back then didn't have really any kind of rights, but if you were popular enough, it's set in stone. That's what people would believe. It's crazy. What did I say? Oh, here you go. Here's your fake news reference, Ron. The media, so we're still on the humans can't travel at high speed. The media promulgated stories about incidents that were rare but fascinating regarding people going crazy during train rides. all were later debunked or satisfied, as the people were already a little bit crazy before they got on the train to begin with. Simply now, you had close quarters area where people shared proximity for hours. Asylum patients, criminals running from the law, and other unstable people liked the ability to travel from their problems of their past, and unironically ended up bringing them with them on the train. So basically, people, they would have lots of these stories of asylum breaks, like mental institutions where people would break free. They would literally go hop a train and take it wherever the hell it's going to get them far, far away from where they were. Well, the problem with that is you've got a person that's crazy, or a criminal, or somebody that already has other problems causing them to be unstable, sitting in incredibly close proximity inside this train for multiple hours with normal society people. So, of course, those stories are what really come to the forefront. You don't have the 99 people that were on this train that had a perfectly fine and enjoyable train ride. You get the one fucking crazy guy, and that story circulates the world because of its popularity. See, even back in the 1800s, you had certain agendas that were driving what the news would put out. These are all through newspaper reportings. So newspapers would report this, and it would get more popular because of the ludicrousy of the story, even if it's true. Not that they got crazy because of the train, they just went crazy on the train.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's what led to massive amounts of people believing that.
Until people started getting on trains that went fast and realized, okay, this isn't really a thing.
I believe the first high-speed thing, I mean, this is like a History Channel thing that I saw. It was they believe that, and it was a big deal when the first roller coaster, air quotes on the side, came out, and it was just basically a big circle, and one side was a little higher up, and then there's a little drop, and it was like 2 feet, but it took you over 30 miles an hour, and it was like the big, like, get on this big death-defying roller coaster. Yeah, and that one there's actually video footage of. You can
really,
yeah, you can.
One of the world's first roller coasters.
Yeah,
that'd be interesting. I wouldn't want to be that first ride.
That's what I'm saying. They're like, yeah, I know. I mean, it's like the people who ride them stupid ass rides hanging off the buildings in Vegas, like. That shit's nuts, but those are the types of people. They're like, you might die doing this, but it'll be a cool story. And they're like, all right, cool, fucking drop me off the side of a building. Let's go.
I almost won't ride any ride if you have to sign a waiver.
I totally did the roller coaster on New York in Vegas. The one that like it wraps around the building and it like goes over. That shit's scary, but I mean it's a safe roller coaster. I didn't have to sign anything.
Yeah, I know. There's one
bungee jumping is a good example.
Oh fuck that! I am not doing that.
I don't think I would want to either. I mean, at a time when I was younger, I might have wanted to do it for the adrenaline rush. But not so much.
I realized after I did the rapids, the whitewater rapids, I'm not an adrenaline junkie. I'm good. I'm good. That made me realize
your seat was full of shit.
thought I was gonna die.
Number 6. This one is so. Before I even get into this one isn't even something that can be misinterpreted. This one isn't even something that can be calculated wrong. This one isn't something that can be only available to be viewed by the super elite that have certain scientific equipment. This one is just straight made up, and then it had a huge following and support. It is just fucking ridiculous to me, and you'll love it. You'll love it. Number 6, sperm looked like tiny versions of the male that it came from.
That's awesome.
The 16th century brought a lot of creativity in medicine and science. While today we have testable system to prove scientific and medical assertions through the scientific method and peer reviews, the 16th century communities relied on a small group of, quote, experts for all their advancements. Aristotle, fucking this guy, man. He came up in a lot of this research, and it's unfathomable how fucking nuts and so far off he was. Not even to say he misinterpreted. No, he just lied. He made something up that sounded palatable.
Huffing methane, man.
Fucking crazy. Aristotle was one of those trusted people of the time. When he made claims, he did not receive the challenges to his hypotheses like many claims would receive today. Now, he did in some of these researches. In fact, I'll cite it here. Somebody else claimed, like he was the one who claimed this sperm looked like little people. There was another set of doctors that supported his claim. Like, oh yeah, we see it too. And it's not even a possible. All right, let me continue. Aristotle claimed that under a microscope he could see miniature forms of men with arms, legs, heads, and within each spermatozoa, so each individual little sperm cell. Additional scientists, like, and I'm going to butcher these names, so forgive me, Dallin Pelias, Gautier, Malfigi, and Swammerdam also had similar claims. Go on. Sammy, Swanson. Look on the briefcase. Samsonite. We were way off.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey,
You
good
get the
news.
reference?
The new mixer has a de-esser.
Yes, it does. That's a good point. That was a lot of S's that it did kind of help work out a little bit. Did you get the movie reference, though, Josh?
No, not at all.
Dumb and Dumber.
Thanks,
Oh, cool.
thanks,
I have
Ryan.
seen it.
The general lack of scientific evidence or capability based on technology of the time led to a lot of presumption or best guess judgments. It was believed that the female offered nothing other than the oven for the sperm to incubate inside. In fact, Aristotle goes on in some of the other studies.
Easy bake oven.
Basically, yeah, is that the female offered nothing, like no egg, no nothing. All that she offered was fatty tissue and a warm place for the sperm to evolve.
A wandering womb.
Aristotle did claim something that was crazy, that the menstrual blood that would normally come out each month with a woman's cycle is what was needed, like the food for the sperm to grow. That's why when a woman's pregnant, there was no menstrual cycle. None of that was coming out. It's because the sperm, that was what it was consuming to grow inside the woman. So it offered at least maybe an appetite. That was it's fucking crazy. Gautier went on to even claim that equine sperm, what's equine, Ron?
Horse.
There you go. When viewed under a microscope, would reveal a tiny horse.
That's awesome.
This is all under a history of embryology. If you care to study absolute fake bullshit science of the 1600s, 1700s, 16th century, so 1700s, read some of this fucking nonsensical stuff from Aristotle and his colleague of idiots. Because my God, this guy's it doesn't upset me that he was wrong. It upsets me that he lied. Not even he made shit up. Not like I perceive it this way. No, that's not a perception. That is just a straight lie. And he's cited in so many different things about making these ludicrous claims.
I wonder if he was, prominent, of course, but he was just like, maybe that's how it works. And someone nearby was like, this fucking nugget of golden wisdom, I will chisel it down and I will share it with the world.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe he was just like, this methane smells great. Maybe that's how sperm works. You're a fucking genius.
All right, so that's all I got. That is 10 through 6. I haven't hit a bonus yet. The bonus is in the second half of the show. So
the bonus or the twist?
It's a little bit of both, Ron.
Okay.
The twist tonight is a bit of a bonus, but we are going to give a little bit of listen. What's up, Josh?
I was just going to say, hey, if you're enjoying the show,
Oh yeah,
go hit twisted10.com. Check out the Twisted Council. Check out our shop. We got some hats. Whatever. Yeah.
I need to order. I want to order here in the break. I'm going to order myself something off of our shop. I want to be the customer.
There you go. Yeah, and I'm sorry, you're queuing up.
No, dude.
Truphonic.
It's all good. Take a listen to a little bit of Truphonic. This is my favorite song. This is City by the Sea. So we'll be back in just a minute.
The only other road went straight southern for the East Coast. But ever since that I arrived, all the talk about was leaving. And I could care less about some changing of the seasons. And they ain't never lived nowhere, they thought that it was freezing. They don't know what they believe in. Florida sun, wind and rain, I never change a thing because you see me all the way till the judgment day. In the city, as by the sea, that's where I should be. And if it's drowning, well, I'll be swimming. By the sea. As my words manifest, I see it's just a big disguise. My friends, I thought they were the best. They ended up telling me lies. I guess I gotta live with what I'm given and deal with my decisions. But I'm tired of people living like it's only their perspective. Tell me, baby, what you think about the beaches I live in. The ocean ain't the place for your bitching and complaining. The song remains the same cause it's up on every station. Oh, flow the sun, wind and rain. Tell me if I should change, because I sure love the way that I'm living today. In the city, as by the sea, that's right. I should be. And if it's drowning, well, I'll be swimming in the city that's by the sea.
All right, welcome back to the Twisted 10. Hope you enjoyed a little bit of that Truphonic. Again, my favorite song, Jake Salter and the Boys with Truphonic singing City by the Sea. Check them out. We've got some links in our show notes. You can see a link to Truphonic. I think it's in our show notes. If not, just do a search for Truphonic, T-R-U, and then another word, P-H-O-N-I-C, YouTube, Bandcamp, I think is where they got some songs you can buy. Spotify, yeah.
Hey, so Ron, Adam posts the show with the show notes. How do you not know what's in the show notes, Adam?
Control-C, Control-V every week, buddy.
Oh, gotcha.
That's how I don't know what's in the show notes. I haven't changed them since...
No, I know.
I don't know, probably a year ago since we started doing the reboots. Other than specialty shows. So if we do one with like Hysteria 51 or we have a special guest on, then I'll add something to the show notes or change them up a little bit because of the guest. Then the next week I'll go back and copy the one from 2 weeks prior. All right, so this week is my list. This is the top 10 bizarre things that people used to believe in. Now, we had a debate on this in the break. When you say past tense, used to believe in something, is it USED or USE for how you spell it? And we got the correction. It is USED.
Yeah, it's definitely with a D.
But it's nobody ever pronounces the hard D at the end of
Oh,
used
yeah,
to
me
believe
either.
in.
I don't either. I would say I used to believe in.
Right. It's just a tie. The
Yeah.
D and the T are so closely sounding that it's kind of all... Otherwise, it sounds weird. Top 10 bizarre things people used to believe in. It sounds... Phonetically, it sounds weird, but it's actually correct. All right, anyway, let's recap. Number 10 was the sun is cold. Number 9 is cigarettes were healthy. Number 8 was female hysteria. Number 7 was the human body could not handle high-speed travel. And number 6 was sperm looked like little tiny versions of the male that it came from.
Those first 5 are a good pull. I'm curious to see what these
It's only
next
going to
5
get wilder.
are gonna bring us.
It's you're in for a ride, boys. You're in for a ride. Number 5 is changelings.
Cool.
Does anybody know anything about changelings before I get into this?
I do not.
mean, I know it in its generic fantasy realm application for
Okay.
just humanoid type things that can take on the personality and appearance of another humanoid-like thing.
Sort of, yeah. So there's many, and changelings is kind of a category here for multiple different cultures around the world, separated over thousands of years, that had different terms that were given to this category. So changelings in some cultures is called something different, in other cultures is called, but the category of all of them has to do with changelings. So all right, let's get into it. To somehow account for high infant mortality rates before modern science and medicines, devout followers of multiple religions needed a way to justify an innocent death of a baby. So that's kind of where it's starting from. How do babies, not just there, but this is a decent summarization. A changeling, also historically referred to as an oaf, A-U-F, or an oaf, O-A-F, is a human-like creature found in folklore and folk religion throughout Europe. For the most part throughout Europe, but it's also other parts of the world as well. A changeling was believed to be a fairy that had been left in place of a human stole by the fairies in some cultures. So I'm going to go through a couple of different examples through different cultures so you kind of get an idea of what these people were thinking was happening. In medieval times, it was believed that trolls considered it more respectable to be raised by humans than by their own kind, and would consequently seize the opportunity to give their own children a human upbringing. Some believed that trolls would only take unbaptized children, since once a child had been baptized, therefore received into the Catholic faith, the trolls were powerless to abduct it. So what they would do is they would come in and steal the human baby, put their troll baby in the place of that human baby.
This sounds like super propaganda from the Catholic Church to get you to baptize your children Catholic.
That's
what it sounds like to me.
In Scottish folklore, the children might be replaced by fairy children, kind of the beginning of this story, in the Tithe to Hell. This is best known from the ballad of Tam Lin. According to common Scottish myths, a child born with a caul or part of an amniotic membrane across their face is a changeling. So this happened in utero. So a fairy would come in and switch the baby in utero, and you'd have part of the membrane of the afterbirth, I guess would still be attached to the baby's head. So that would be a sign.
Man, that is insane.
What an unfortunate thing to happen, just to write off a child for the rest. Sorry, that's...
Other folklore says that human milk is necessary for fairy children to survive. In these cases, either the newborn human child would be switched with a fairy baby to be suckled by the human mother, or the human mother would be taken back to the fairy world to breastfeed all the fairy babies. It is also thought that the human midwives were necessary to bring fairy babies into the world. A changeling is typically identifiable via a number of traits. In Irish legend, a fairy child may appear sickly and won't grow in size like a normal child, or may have notable physical life of characteristics such as a beard or long teeth. Be kind of a freaky baby, just a regular baby if it had a beard and long teeth. Let's see, where was I? They may also display intelligence far beyond their apparent years, as well as possess uncanny insight. A common way that a changeling could identify itself was through displaying unusual behavior when it thinks it's alone. So, such as jumping about, dancing, or playing an instrument. So the jumping about and dancing, I've watched my babies on their baby monitors. Oh yeah, I've got some fucking changelings for sure, because they do all sorts of crazy shit in their nurseries when they're alone. But playing a musical instrument is kind of cool. If Abby starts busting out a like a little trumpet in her bed and starts fucking wailing,
a little ukulele
or anything, I'll be pretty fucking impressed. But apparently that's a changeling.
Man, so Ryder can hold a little bit of a drum beat now.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And when I say that, I mean the strength is what's varied, but he will keep in time.
Really?
Yeah, I started working with him, and he was very, very little. I have a set of hand drums, and I keep there in the living room.
Do you play naked bongos?
I'm usually not naked.
Usually,
never mind. Then it's not interesting.
Usually is the keyword, meaning yes was the answer to the question.
Yes.
So just to summarize changelings, the general philosophy, I guess, behind the myth or the theory about changelings is that anything that was unexplainable because of modern science and medicine at the time, like a baby's intelligence level, it's super smart, or it's super dumb, or it's got a deformity, or something that's wrong, or a death, is not because, science and medicine sucked at the time. It has to do with faith and beliefs of some supernatural other entity that obviously abducted their perfect child, or overtook the body or caused some problems. And this is vast throughout history, multiple cultures. Egyptians had a similar theory about, they didn't categorize it like a changeling, but they did categorize it as some sort of higher level being that would cause problems in, young babies' lives. But yeah, it's just infant death mortality rates and stuff like that is part of the reason that people needed an outlet. They needed a reason. They needed something to blame it on.
Yeah.
It's humanity.
Something to blame and fill in the blank.
Yeah. All right, you guys ready for number 4?
Yes.
This one was the very first one that led me down this list. All right, so this number 4, I was going to put it as number 1, but number 1's kind of a fun one tonight. But this is something we've talked about before, is very popular. I say popular, not in practice, but in knowledge of this particular practice. So, and this is actually pretty recent too. This is in the 1900s, so this is relatively recent. There used to be a cure, part of a Nobel Prize winning doctor. He shared the Nobel Prize, a cure for depression and anxiety. Do you guys have any idea what this? It's atrocious to do this today.
Dr. Pepper.
I don't know.
No clue.
Man, let me dig.
Cure.
Man,
It was invented in 1946. I'll start you there. Officially invented then. The practice has happened for thousands of years, but the invention of this terminology, and it's kind of hard to.
I feel like I know it. Like I've heard this before, but I just can't remember.
As soon as I say it, you guys are both be like, "Oh my god, yeah!" All right, so let's just go through it. Invented in 1946, and there's actually a contestation of when it was actually claimed to be invented, because the Nobel Prize winner is a few years after this guy, but whatever. Invented in 1946 by Dr. Walter Freeman, what is now known as a lobotomy was used to used to treat depression and anxiety by jamming an ice pick into someone's eye socket. This is quite literally how the practice first happened. Now, I mean, we can diverge on this a little bit, but now the practice, I say now, more modernly, like in the 1980s, 70s, 60s, there was chemical lobotomies that could happen as well. So you could give somebody some drugs that would do the same thing as an ice pick to the fucking brain. It was then moved from side to side. So the ice pick would be shoved into somebody's eye socket up towards the brain. It was then moved from side to side to sever the, quote, emotional areas from the rest of the brain. So what they were doing is trying to separate those emotional areas of the brain, which they thought was through the eye socket. Kind of is, but they didn't understand what it was, what they were doing exactly. It would occasionally work, and the people would have way lower anxiety levels, way lower depression levels. They were just generally a happier person after this procedure. But more often than not, it led to brain bleeds, which would eventually lead to death, paralysis, and other long-lasting disabilities. This is also known as a leucotomy, Leucotomy. Leucotomy? Leucotomy sounds right. It's a form of psychosurgery that disconnects or impedes the section of the brain known as the prefrontal cortex. And I'm a huge brain kind of guy. I love the pieces and parts of the brain. Like, I know my memory sucks, and I know why. It's because my inability for my hippocampus to translate my short-term memories into long-term memories. So I know what part of the brain I'm not working very well in.
Isn't it ironic that you remember that?
It's super ironic.
It's probably maddening.
A little, but what I don't remember, I can't really be upset at myself about. So it's kind of ignorance is bliss, isn't that the term? It's kind of nice. The prefrontal cortex has many attributes, including the ability to differentiate among conflicting thoughts, determine good and bad, better and best, same and different, future consequences of current activities, working towards a defined goal, prediction of outcomes, expectation based on actions, social control, or the ability to suppress urges that, if not suppressed, could easily lead to socially unacceptable outcomes. So you won't just say, man, that ass on that chick looks good. Well, would know better, because your prefrontal cortex kicks in those controls and allows your personality to not just.
It's what we like to call a filter.
Yeah, 100% right. The originator of the procedure. So this is the little bit of a debate in this whole society about this. Who invented it and who was the originator of the procedure? Portuguese neurologist Antonio Egas Moniz. He shared the Nobel Prize for psychology, physiology of medicine in 1949 for, quote, discovery of therapeutic value of leucotomy or lobotomy in certain psychosis, although the award-winning prize has been subject to controversy. Obviously, because what is effectively happening is you're destroying the ability for the prefrontal cortex part of the brain, your forehead, basically. That's the prefrontal. You put your hand on your forehead. That's where your whole personality comes from. It's not needed, which is really interesting. This whole part of your brain isn't needed for you to live. It's just needed to make up who you are. If there's a section of the brain that defines where your soul is, it would be in the prefrontal cortex, because that's what makes you who you are as a person. So what they're doing with these procedures is just fucking scrambling those eggs in there, breaking up all those synapses from firing, either chemically or with a physical tool, and
what happens is what happens.
Yeah. It's hit or miss. I mean, 1 millimeter further in and you're a fucking zombie for the rest of your life. 1 millimeter too short and you're a mass murderer for the rest of your life. I mean, it breaks your ability to make rational decisions. That's really what the prefrontal cortex is used for.
Kind of sounds like it turns you into a teenager. You just lose all of these great qualifying grown-up traits, and you just go back to doing whatever sounds like the next best thing.
The practice of this has gone back for thousands of years through many cultures, but was very, very popular in like the late 1800s and then early 1900s for places like insane asylums, when they had people that were so unruly that they could not control them.
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Anybody seen that movie? You probably haven't.
I don't think that I have
Super
either.
old Jack Nicholson film. Definitely worth a watch.
Does it have something to do with lobotomy?
It has. Yeah, it has to do all with this type of stuff, with sticking crazies in a loony bin and whatnot. So yeah, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
I'll bring you a little bit more modern. So there was a movie recently. Oh man, I got to remember the name of this movie. There's a movie recently about this hot. God, I hope she was of age, because that sounds really bad now. This hot, like, young woman, and she was put into an insane asylum by her like stepfather because her mother died or was murdered or something like that. And you'd go through the travels in her mind of all of these crazy scenarios, like she's a ninja fighting these giant golems in some sort of like Chinese temple in like the 5th century, and then she jumps to being in a World War I style battle where she's just kicking ass with this group of girls. And what it turns out being is it's just all the other girls that are inside this same asylum with her. And no spoilers, but there's a really interesting spin at the end of the...
What's the name of the movie?
Sucker Punch. Yeah, nice. Jinx, you owe me a Coke.
We watched
Jinx
it together.
Jinx almost made it on the list, by the way.
Oh.
I'll tell you why at number 1.
Okay.
Yeah, Sucker Punch. It's a really, really good movie. It's got a lot of really cool action and a lot of real mental...
Sucker Punch sounds like the latest, like, awesome anime or manga.
Anime has a lot to do with it.
It is very much like...
That just
real people,
sounds like the name of a freaking manga or anime. Sucker Punch.
It's a comic book.
Volume 18.
I think you're right.
It has comic book adaptation feel to it.
Yeah, it just
100%.
has the name. Just
it almost
feels
like
that.
the production quality is almost like a Marvel movie. I mean, it's got some amazing production quality. The CGI in the movie is fucking stellar, but the role that this girl plays in this movie is just fucking, it's out of this world. It's a great movie to watch. So if you're looking for a good movie to watch, check that one out. It was like a 2004-5 movie, something like that.
I don't know. We were in Iraq when we watched it.
Right, that was 2010, 11.
It would have been 2000. Yeah, 2011.
Ron's looking it up.
No, I was just looking to see where I could stream it. That's all.
Oh, cool.
I can rent it from Vudu. It looks like I don't have Amazon
Voodoo,
Prime,
the voodoo that you do.
So well.
Number 3.
Number 3
is germs were not a thing. All right, number 2. All right, no, number 3. This story of grossness comes from 1865. Hungarian physician Ignaz Philipp Semmelweis had a ring. He was supporting his friend going up a mountain. All right. Suggested a practice that all doctors worldwide should adopt. And this guy's a physician, so he's got some notoriety behind himself. He was so mocked and ridiculed for this suggestion that he suffered from a mental nervous breakdown. And again, this is in 1865. And ironically was committed to an asylum. He must have had female hysteria. His suggestion was simply that all doctors should wash their hands between patients. He got laughed out of the medical communities because of this suggestion. Now, he may have been a guy that was pushing it harder than, yes, we know, fucking Ignaz, you want us to wash our hands, fucking go sit in the corner. And that might have been what happened, really. However, his suggestion was not wrong. He was actually pretty spot on. The germ theory of disease is currently the accepted scientific theory for many diseases. It states that microorganisms known as pathogens or germs can lead to disease. These small organisms, too small to see without magnification, invade humans, other animals, and other living hosts. Basic forms of germ theory were proposed in the late Middle Ages by physicians including Ibn Sina in 1025, Ibn Khatma, and Ibn al-Khatib in the 14th century, and a few others throughout history. But those views were held in disdain in Europe, where it kind of was the center of the scientific and medicine communities, and kind of laughed similarly up until that point because of another theory. Galen's miasma theory remained dominant among scientists and doctors. Now, miasma theory, I had to look this one up. It took me down a fucking rabbit hole as well. M-I-A-S-M-A, miasma, whatever you want to call it. Miasma theory was based on contaminated air rising from the corpses of dead creatures or dead, no longer living items. While not completely incorrect, germ theory expanded this later to identify what specifically in the air was toxic. It wasn't just the air that was coming out of that whole area. It was very specific microorganisms that were coming out. The miasma theory was the predominant theory of the disease transmission before the germ theory took hold toward the end of the 19th century, and it is no longer accepted as a scientific theory of disease. So there is no more miasma theory, or if it is, then nobody really recognizes it. It held that diseases such as cholera, chlamydia infection, or the Black Death were caused by a miasma, or ancient Greek word for pollution, which I can't pronounce, a noxious form of, quote, bad air, unquote, emanating from the rotting organic matter. Miasma was considered to be a poisonous vapor or mist filled with particles from decomposed matter, miasmata, I guess is how you pronounce it, that was identified by its foul smell. Doctors of this era would move between autopsies to live patients, both healthy and sick, without any sanitization. So they didn't understand. I mean, to them, germs weren't a thing. So it didn't matter if you were just handling a corpse that just died of Black Death. You're going to go take somebody's, temperature with the same hands that were just ass deep inside this corpse. So now, obviously, we've got germ theory. We've got the evidence to support what's there and how this is spreading and how this stuff happens. So, but for a very, very long time, germs were not a thing.
That's so wild. So I got hung up on a few things in there. One, the term miasma is very common in video games. I don't know how to pronounce it either, but I've like read it my whole life, and I assumed like most video game things had some basis in reality, but I never looked it up. That's fascinating. Also, you went through that entire definition and story, and there was one thing that showed up in there. Black Plague, all these things, and chlamydia, and also these. That doctor made that shit up.
Which one? Which doctor?
Whoever said chlamydia was also caused by dead bodies.
Oh.
He's like, yeah, honey, it was miasma. It was miasma.
Yeah, totally.
That's where I got the clap from.
She sounds hideous. Miasma who?
Nice.
Oh, no, you're 100%
Miasma
right.
from State Farm.
Khakis. No, you're 100% right. There's no scientific evidence. Again, I didn't really pay that. So part of this list, research frustrated me for your point that you just made exactly. People just made shit up, and because they were prestigious, other people believed them. They just fucking took them at their word and said, okay. Easy on the politics reference, Ron. I know you're thinking about them.
No, I wasn't actually.
We need to come up with a crazy conspiracy theory and just toss it every episode and just see how long it takes to catch on.
No, that's a really bad idea.
No, because every episode will be then fact-checked, and we don't want that because we know we got some falsities in there.
Well,
come on, buddy.
accidental, like...
Of course, not intentionally. We're not intentionally misleading people.
Because we pulled all of our information from the internet.
From Planet X or something.
100% right. All right, number 2. You guys ready for number 2? I fucking love this theory. I love this one. It's fun because it specifically talks to my point that we just made to you about, or you made back to me, about people just making some bullshit up because they have no other explanation for what they're fucking experiencing. This is an entire theory called spontaneous generation. Anybody remember talking about? We talked about this a few weeks ago. It was briefly mentioned in one of our shows.
Like I can think if my arm is cut off, I can think it back into existence.
Kind of, yeah. Sort of, kind of. All right, let's get into this one.
Can I think of a bigger dick?
Yeah, mine.
But damn it, you beat me to it.
Yes.
In its most basic form, spontaneous generation is the theory that living.
Sorry, I'm sorry, Adam.
You're thinking of Josh's dick now,
I
aren't you?
totally kind of was, yeah. But then I was watching Josh try also not to laugh hard about his dick joke, his big dick joke. There you go. All right, go ahead, sir.
In its most basic form, spontaneous generation is the theory that living creatures and organisms form out of a combination of non-living materials. So this kind of goes back to your show, Ron. Where did life come from?
Yes.
Spontaneous generation. Where did life on Earth come from?
Yeah.
Spontaneous generation was one of your top 10 list in there.
I think it
Sort
was.
of.
I don't remember.
Anyway, before advancements of science and medicine and the population of let me start that over. Sorry. Before advancements of science and medicine, the population of humans with intellectual thought needed a way to explain how maggots would suddenly appear on rotting food, or how mice would appear suddenly in a pile of grains that are in a wet storage. We get another visit from our historical dodo, Aristotle. In his biological works, he theorized that the reproduction of various animals were through sexual, parentogenetic, or asexual, or spontaneous generation. Those are the three ways that creatures come to this earth. Now, so this is a quote. This is from Aristotle himself in The History of Animals. Oh, I wish I could add like an echo or an old-timey voice or something. Oh, well. Now, there is one property that animals are found to have in common with plants. For some plants are generated from the seeds of plants, whilst others plants are self-generating through the formation of some elemental principle similar to a seed. And of these latter plants, some derive their nutriment from the ground, whilst others grow inside other plants. All of this is so fucking false. It's ridiculous.
What?
So with animals, some spring from parent animals according to their kind, whilst others grow spontaneously and not from kindred stock. The English on this is a little bit brutal, so bear with it. Bear with the language difference of the time. And of these instances of spontaneous generation, some come from putrefied earth or vegetable matter, as is in the case with a number of insects, while others are spontaneously generated in the inside animals out of the secretions of their several organs. History of Animals, written by Aristotle. That was the science of the time. That statement, by the way, is one paragraph out of thousands of pages, but that summarizes his adaptation of spontaneous generation and how it happens. So Aristotle is like the what's the evolution theory teacher?
Darwin.
He's like the Darwin, but for biology and physiology. All right. So he thinks he's saying how it happens, how this stuff happens on a
Except
scientific
Darwin
and medical.
was right.
Yeah,
And this guy
right.
is an idiot.
He's a complete dodo. I was so mad reading some of this shit, but
Where
whatever.
did the maggots come from? They're just there. They came from there.
It was not just Aristotle that pushed this theory. Spontaneous generation is discussed as fact in literature well into the Renaissance. Shakespeare even discussed snakes and crocodiles forming from the mud of the Nile. Granted, Shakespeare wasn't a scientist or a medicine type of person, but he cited, his references on current doctrine of the time.
The knowledge of the day.
Yeah. From the 1600s and on, many scientists challenged the spontaneous generation theory. However, it was not until Jan Baptist van Helmont, 1580 to 1644, used an experimental technique such as growing a willow for 5 years and showing it increased mass while the soil showed a trivial decrease in composition. As the process of photosynthesis was not yet understood, he attributed the increase of mass to the absorption of water. and he didn't quite understand how the conversion of energy happens with photosynthesis, water, and sunlight. His notes also describe a recipe for mice, a piece of soiled cloth plus wheat for 21 days, and scorpions, basil placed between 2 bricks and left in sunlight. His notes suggest he may even have done these things. So apparently if you took those things and put them together, boom, your animal or insect would appear.
Man, that might have even passed muster on the scientific method of the day.
Yet not knowing how microorganisms work. Yeah.
We can reproduce it. Look, I'm going to plant a seed. Come back in 10 years. Tree. Still dirt.
It was not until 1837 from Charles Cagnard de la Tour, who was a physicist at Theodore Schwann, physicist Theodore Schwann, published their discovery of yeast and alcoholic fermentation process for beer. The spontaneous generation debate and support was finally put to rest. So thank you, beer, in this case. Microorganisms and bacteria influence the growth of yeast and not magic. A couple of other things that came out of this list. So a couple of the other spontaneous generation theories. Dust created fleas. So fleas came out of dust.
Okay,
maggots arose from rotting meat. Obviously, that's not the case. Bread, grains, and wheat left in a dark corner produce mice. Snails arose from mud. This is the most amazing one. Geese, the fucking birds. All right, geese, big ass fucking honking geese. What do you think they came? What do you think the spontaneous generation for geese? Not other birds in the avian species.
Heavy fog. No, I don't know.
That's good though.
It's
This is
sheep's
I'm gonna
wool.
say, like cattails or something near the water. I'm going to say like
good
plants
call.
near the water.
That's a good call. It's not a plant. It's actually another living organism. It's actually from something called a goose oyster. So apparently a goose oyster is where geese come from. Now the names are probably just synonymous with us as a goose oyster and a goose, but it's probably a big fucking oyster. But yeah, so these are some of the fucking ludicrous, absolutely off the wall things that people believe that now, because of modern science and advancements in technology, we can prove that isn't the case.
Good times.
Amazing.
Unreal.
That
All right.
21st century, they believed in atoms.
Right? They believe string theory was a real thing. String theory.
Yeah.
Are you a string theory guy, Ron, or are you a quantum theory guy?
Yeah.
This is really important. Pick one.
It is
Quantum
kind of
theory.
All right.
You chose
It's a
wrong. You should have gone with string theory because
No.
there's thousands of them.
Yeah, good answer,
No.
Ron. Quantum is the right way.
Quantum.
It makes sense mathematically.
It does. It's the only thing that actually is
But
standard model.
But it's something that can probably never be proven. And there's a bug on the wall over there.
That's the second bug. I killed another one in here today.
Oh, you rip walls and stuff out of your ceiling. You find
We saw
bugs.
hey, this
It's
is kind of
Florida.
Kill it.
non-show. Yeah, kill it. There's no. This is kind of off show topic a little bit, but as we were taking up all that floor upstairs, oh, it's a stink bug. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, that would have sucked.
As we were taking up all that floor upstairs, not a single cockroach or like dead cockroach or anything. None of those cabinets, none of that stuff. I'm like, this is pretty cool. There's no roaches. I like it.
Surprising for Florida.
They all ran. They heard the hammers and took off.
Yeah.
You're
Clearly came down to the basement.
Yeah, I don't know what that thing is. All right, you guys ready for number one?
Yes.
Number one is our bonus. It's our twist for the week. This is a list in a list.
If we can figure out the twist, is it like a competition between me and Josh?
No,
It's not like that.
Because you'll know immediately what this is. I mean,
Okay.
so we can't really have a conversation or a top 10 list about things people used to believe in and not at least somehow touch on superstitions. Superstitions, in its essence, are where people believe they get luck from. They rub those little troll dolls when they're playing bingo because they hope their bingo number comes up.
Blow on my
Now,
dice.
It's not a sciencey based thing. It's not backed by scientists that proclaimed things. But superstitions are still those things that people believe in that good, bad, indifferent will change the outcome of events. All right. So what I've done is I've put together 10 of some common and some crazy off the wall superstitions. I'm not doing a whole nother list, Ron. It's just one-liners.
No, I
that
got
we'll
you.
go through. Ron's like, oh my God, I'm fucking tired.
No. I didn't know where you were going with it.
All right, so let's just go through this little mini list for number one. Kind of a nice little ease into this list. Don't place two mirrors opposite of each other. That is in Mexico, this would open a doorway to hell. Still believed today.
Sweet.
A lot of these are still believed today, by the way. Josh, excuse me, you might know this one. This is out of Japan.
Josh, you might believe this one.
What? No, he might know it at least. Do you know what you're not to do with chopsticks? Other than, I mean, with regards to food, let me rephrase
Shove
that.
them in me bum.
Yeah.
Not supposed to rub them together. That's rude.
Oh, really? I didn't know that one.
Yeah.
No, in this case,
Sign of cheap
chopsticks
chopsticks.
sticking straight up out of your food is actually it does two things. It's an offensive statement you're making to the restaurant
Fuck
or
this
to your
rice.
to your
This a full suck. And you
to your
bash it in
food
there.
server, but it also, two sticks sticking straight up represents the number 4 kind of similar to the numerical value for 4 in Japan, and the language translation for 4 in Japan or their word for 4 sounds like the word for death. So it's an unlucky symbol. So if you stick them in, whatever that is, it means, I guess, kind of close to death in Japanese. All right, the third one in this is don't whistle indoors. In Lithuania, it is forbidden to whistle indoors and is believed to summon demons. Don't sleep with your head to the north. Ironically, also another one to the west, two different cultures. In Japan, sleeping with your head facing north is bad luck, as that's how all deceased are laid to rest. Same thing in Africa, but it's to the west, which is weird. All right, this one's from Turkey. Itchy hands have financial repercussions.
This started like a Confucius joke.
It did.
Men who have itchy hand. Oh shit.
Men who go to bed with sex
stuff.
problem on mind
Wake up with solution in hand. Yes.
No, in Turkey, an itchy right hand means you'll come into money, but an itchy left hand means you will lose it.
Means you come
Weird.
into hand. Sorry. I don't know.
This one's prominent in lots of cultures, but it was first cited in Egypt. An owl. An owl is a general bad omen. In Egypt, seeing or hearing an owl means terrible news is coming. This one's pretty interesting. Wedding bells. Irish brides have been known to wear wedding bells or bells on their dresses to ward off evil spirits. And in fact, the wedding bells in churches are also meant to do the same thing, not just announce the nuptials, but also to ward off any evil spirits that might want to do harm to the bride and groom. All right, we all know don't walk under a ladder.
Yes.
If you see a ladder, would you think about not? I mean, if it's in your path, would you just say, "Fuck, I don't believe in superstitions," and just go, or would you be like, "Nah, I'm not going to take this chance"?
I literally walked under a ladder like 4 hours ago because it was more convenient.
But you walked under the ladder, but did your brain even think about it's a superstition, I don't care? Did
No,
it even
'cause that's
enter your
fucking
brain?
Nonsense. I mean,
Yeah, but even being nonsense, it doesn't mean, because we've heard it so many times, that your brain wouldn't think about it. Not, no, I shouldn't do this, but hey, idiots believe I shouldn't do this, but fuck them, I'm doing it anyway. Did it even enter your thought pattern whatsoever? See, for me,
I was dragging an inflatable pool.
I'll walk under the ladder, I don't care, but my brain will still think about all these
I would too.
superstitions.
Yeah.
Shit, broke a mirror, all that.
That's another one.
I'm sorry, cross the path of a black cat, all that
Ooh,
shit.
I didn't know where you were going with that.
Yeah.
All right, so
some more generic.
all right, so the latter one though is very interesting. Do you know where it comes from? Where its origination is? So where I could find the research on it.
Stairway to Hell?
It comes from medieval times. Not like the restaurant, but it comes from the medieval ages, whatever the time period.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It's walking under that ladder was bad luck, because typically the ladders that were leaning up against the buildings in the medieval ages were leading up to gallows where they would hang people. So walking in that general area is just bad luck. So that's kind of where it came from. Numbers. Everybody knows about number 13, which is unlucky number 13, which is incredibly ridiculous because numbers have no association to anything. They're just numerical placeholders. We all know that Friday the 13th is, and ironically, my daughter Annie was born Friday the 13th. We all know that Friday the 13th is draped with bad vibes. As Houston states, even if people say they don't believe, they might expect bad things
so
to happen on some level.
Your daughter, who was born February the 13th, you named her Annabelle.
We did. Because superstition's stupid.
Yes, but clearly in your mind it is.
We also fear
and I'm never coming back to this house. Just FYI. No, I'm just kidding.
We also fear 666, which is the devil's number, or the number
Mark
of the
beast.
Yeah. But did you know that in China, the number 4 is feared because it sounds close to the Chinese word for death? We just talked about that one with the chopsticks. And it's not Friday the 13th, and the Italians dread it's Friday the 17th. No reason as to why, but
okay.
they're There you go.
Any more?
Yeah, one more. So this one's the mirrors one. So the broken mirrors one was pretty cool, so I saved that one for last. Speculative, tough word. Speculative fiction writer Madeleine D'Este explains that a broken mirror is common in cultures throughout the world, from Russians believing the mirror will release evil spirits in the home to Swiss believing the last person to look into a broken mirror is the first person to die or suffer from some misfortune. However, the time period of 7 years of bad luck seems to come from the Romans. A little bit different there. The Romans believed the body takes 7 years. So this is kind of an interesting twist on this, and I'll explain it in a second. The Romans believed the body takes 7 years to renew, and similarly, palm readers in China believe that your destiny is renewed every 7 years. Others claim that the use of the number 7 comes from Christianity with a link to the 7 days of God's creation. Now, here's the really interesting thing about the 7 years comment. Our bodies are constantly regenerating cells. All right, you have new cells. Genetic memory is a thing. We talked about this a while ago. Your body's instructions to recreate the cells that are in your body, after approximately 7 years, every cell in your body has been regenerated. You are literally a different entity than you were 7 years ago. It's just how your body recreates its cells. So it's kind of cool to see some of those ties to something that is scientifically provable now, which is ironic. No real tie there, but it's just ironic.
So would other superstitions be like, and some of these superstitions would come from stories like Candyman, like I guess going in the mirror and saying Candyman or something, or Bloody Mary. Wasn't
Bloody
that
Mary.
one?
Yeah.
Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary.
Those are like folklore.
Throwing salt over your shoulders and other
Oh
ones.
yeah, throwing salt on
Yeah.
your shoulder. That's a really good one. I forgot
There's
about
lots.
that.
Knocking on wood. Remember when we started?
Knocking on wood,
We were
yeah.
knocking on wood. I kind of tied the show in at the
Adam,
beginning.
you want to come over here to my lap and knock on some wood?
Yeah, I prefer hardwood, thanks.
Bad things come
Well,
in
then you don't want
threes?
mine. I'm old. Yeah, bad things come.
yeah.
People die in threes.
People die in threes.
People, so people believe these,
Old wives' tales sometimes
Yeah.
are referred to as.
especially people that like crystals. They really believe in superstitions.
I think crystals is great. I prefer without onions.
not know.
You did not know where I was going.
Man.
That was good, Ron. I like that.
There's actually a crystals in this city where we're in, not where I live, but I need to hit. Where is the crystals? Is it open 24 hours?
I haven't seen it. I
know there's a crystals around here somewhere.
You know what they're opening though in Titusville at the Titus Landing?
What?
Ooh, Chipotle. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I have one in Melbourne. They're good. I
They're
mean, if you
great.
want E. coli, yeah, they're awesome.
That happened like one time 5 years ago.
Dude, it practically shut down their entire restaurant. It was not one time 5 years ago. We don't want. I would rather report accurate information, but it wasn't like one restaurant outbreak 5 years ago. It was way deeper than that.
Of any place that I would be more trusting to go to that wouldn't have E. coli now would probably be the restaurant that's had so much attention for it in the last couple of years.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, I've eaten there. Actually, I had never
So
eaten there
fucking good.
before. Never even heard of it until the E. coli thing, and I said, "Oh, that
go
place
give it
sounds
a
pretty
shot.
good." And like a month later is the first time I ate there,
There's
and I
no
was like,
such thing as bad PR, man.
This food is good. I had never even heard of this place until their E. coli breakout. So
That's
hey,
hilarious.
there you go.
So yeah, that was the top 10
That was
bizarre
fun, man.
things people used to believe in.
That was cool. I like it.
But it's funny you say used to.
What was the?
The twist was just that number one was
just
a mini
one
twist.
as a mini.
Yeah,
mini
mini
top
list.
10. Yeah.
It just feels like you say used to, but especially that number one, tons of people still.
Yeah, that was what I even said. I even gave it a little caveat.
Are
a lot of these are still
superstition-
believed. Yeah.
Oh man, people, rabbit's foot, and all that stuff. There's so many
I
superstitions.
play poker with people, and I've occasionally brought a coin, like a what are those Commander's coins called? Like I'm talking about the coins you get from missions that you help to serve on.
Yeah.
Commander's coins, but it's something else. There's a different name for them. Whatever. We'll remember it. Anyway, it's like a decorative special coin that only certain people get when they serve on missions.
Yes.
To support efforts.
Challenge coins.
Challenge coins, yeah.
Ooh, man, it's like passing a fire.
I'll bring
man.
mine with me to when I'm playing poker at like a poker room or something, but not as a lucky charm, more as a conversation piece and a prop. So I'll have it there, and if somebody asks me about it, then that leads me into an ability to communicate with them as opposed to talking about the game or something like that. It's more of a prop, and it's something that's a nervous habit. I like playing with a coin that not everybody else has been molesting at the table. I just play
Understood.
with my coin, not everybody
Gotcha.
else's coin.
Okay.
So yeah, that's the list.
That was fun, man.
That's what we got for tonight.
I like it. It was enlightening.
Did we still
I liked it.
Do we still have Doc in our
Yeah.
channel? Cool. All right. Well, where can our listeners go to check out some merch?
Yeah. No, I
And-
mean, just in general. I mean, to the council, thanks for supporting the show.
Yeah, good
Hope
call.
you enjoy the after show. Discord, thanks for hanging out. It's been a lot of fun. If you're curious about either of them, you want to check them out. It's twisted10.com. It's got links to both. Get you all set up. And of course to Truphonic, all the music you've been hearing. It's their tasty jams. So thanks to Jake and the guys.
It's 100% right. Truphonic has got some skills.
And
Thank you, fellas.
yeah, like Adam mentioned, we also have some merchandise now. So if you enjoyed the show and want to throw a little one-time support at us, it's a few bucks, but we appreciate it. Throw some swag on.
Hop in Discord. Say hi to us. Hop on Facebook. Send us some messages until we probably are going to get banned at some point on Facebook. Everybody's getting banned.
You actually told them to go to Facebook?
I guess that's a good point.
I'm not saying hi to anybody at Facebook, just so you know. But you can come into Discord,
Hey.
say hi to you there, and have some real meaningful conversation.
And send all your nudes to Josh in Discord.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, if you
Direct
send a
message.
message to our Facebook, you'll get me. So
Yeah, I totally tested our little chat thing in our website
That's what I'm
because I
saying.
went in there to check the merch. So I was like, I forget what I said, something smart ass,
yeah.
just to see how long it would take. When I did it too, it popped up an email because I have our Gmail
Yeah.
on there. I was like, okay, that's how I know it.
Boom.
But dude, Josh was
It goes to-
Johnny on
it
the
goes to
he
my
was
phone.
Joshy on the spot
If
right,
you
right
open,
away.
you open the chat box on the site, it goes to my phone.
Yeah, and he went right in there.
That's awesome. Well, all right. Thank you guys. Thanks for coming over again tonight. We appreciate it. On behalf of the Twisted 10, I'm Adam.
I'm Josh.
I'm Ron.
Thank you guys for listening, and we will see you next week.